3, 2, 1. 1.
All right, welcome to the second episode of our new segment, The Minnie Mice Tales. Today we have in studio our dear friend Ryan Sluiter, also known as the Disney Monster.
The one and only.
Yay.
Rylan.
Thank you so much for having me.
We cannot even express how excited we are to finally have you on the show.
I'm excited to be
It's literally
here.
been in the talks forever, I feel. So this is just surreal, and we're so happy and we're so excited to have you here. So thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. I'm going to start off just real quick by mentioning the ears that we're wearing. We are wearing Precious Art Creations ears, who Ryland happens to be a brand rep for. He does have a discount code. It is DM001. So Priscilla is a sweetheart. I've had conversations with her, and she's super, super sweet. So we are wearing her ears today in honor of Rylan, because we wanted to represent Rylan today, and what better than to add Disney and horror, right? So, okay.
The best.
Right?
Yes.
Talk.
And you all look amazing in them, I have to say. She
Thank
hand
you.
paints the 3D ears as well.
Really?
Everything she does by hand. She's really talented.
Yeah, she's crazy talented. I love her ears.
They're beautiful.
Super, super great. Okay, so we're going to get right into how we met you. The girls and I started following you probably about a year ago, I want to say. And I'm not going to lie, I just thought you were just as handsome as can be. Just like, oh, Anissa, look at this one. And
Thanks, Mom and Dad. And God.
No. So we actually took a trip in January of this year, 2018. I actually looked back at the picture, which I should have given you to put up there. But and we were walking out of Disneyland, and you were walking into DCA. So I saw you at a distance, and I was like, oh my God, I think that's the Disney Monster. And I literally got so excited because it was a surreal moment, like to actually see someone in person that you follow on Instagram that you really enjoy, their feed. So I'm like, we gotta go. And we were like literally total stalker moment, but not chasing you, but like.
Chasing you.
Yeah, we were chasing you.
But then we lost you. I was like, aw.
Yeah, we lost you when we got into the park, and I'm like, darn it. And let's just go look in the stores just to see if he's in there. So the first store, when you first walk in to the left.
5 and dime.
I'm sorry?
5 and dime.
5 and dime. We were walking in there, and I was just looking around, and you did not have your beautiful blonde hair that you do.
No, I had
now.
longer hair back then.
You had long, luscious brown hair.
Brown. I think red.
It was brown.
It was brown.
Yeah, I didn't go through that Archie Andrews phase.
No,
I hadn't gone there.
No. And I saw you and I gasped. I was like, oh my God, there he is. And I kind of like froze because you never know in the Instagram community if you can approach somebody or not, if they're even approachable. But I'm like, if I don't do it, I'm going to regret it. So I went up to you and I'm like, are you the Disney Monster? And you were as sweet as can be. Like if all people could be like you, it wouldn't make going up to people scary. Like you were genuinely one of my favorite ever, like meeting in the park in person. You were just amazing.
Thank goodness.
And the fact that you like followed us on the spot, which was like, okay, he's definitely going to unfollow us after this. But you didn't.
No.
And it was just amazing, and it definitely left an impression on us, and we just love you. And the fact that we've become so close, like we're family now.
Yes.
And we adore you, we love you. And I'm just so glad we took that step and chased you through DCA. And it's just been one of my favorite memories for sure.
I'm glad you guys stalked me and chased me too. Honestly, like those moments when you do get recognized, and just a disclaimer, I don't think I'm some famous person at all, because I just don't. And I've always said this to all of you. I'm just a normal person, just like all of you. But to have those moments when people do recognize you from Instagram because of things that you've created, it is a surreal moment to have, because you don't see yourself as someone that people would run up and talk to.
Right.
So when you ladies came up and noticed me and wanted a picture with me, like it was a very special moment for me. And it doesn't happen often. So when those moments do happen to anyone that's on Instagram, take those moments and relive them in your brain, because it's a moment that you should be proud of, because you obviously connected with the follower, and that's the whole point of Instagram, is to interact with your people. And obviously I left some sort of print on you guys.
You definitely did.
You know, getting to meet you in person was just as special to me as it was to you. So it's important. It's important that these things happen for any Instagrammer, anyone that wants to, you know, create a brand or create a community. So.
No, and I love that you're just as sweet in person as you are on Instagram. You don't, like, when you meet somebody in person and you're following them, oftentimes they're not the same person. They're different. You were better. Like, I'm just thrilled. Like,
I was raised
thrilled.
well. I was raised by humble parents. That always taught me to think of others before myself.
Right.
So that just has lived in my brain throughout my whole entire life.
No, they did great.
I wouldn't hurt a fly, and you can ask anyone. Anytime there's a bug, I try to kick it out, unless it's a spider, because those things are just too scary.
You're like, don't at me, anybody. Well, you just mentioned your parents. Perfect segue into our next question. So you actually have a personal connection with Disney with your dad. Will you go ahead and tell us about that?
Sure. I think everyone has an amazing connection to Disney, but I just have to say that I think my connection is just a little bit different.
Right, definitely.
So my father, his name is Sluiter. He, first of all, I was born in Canada. My parents are Canadian. And my dad, just to give you a little backstory, my dad growing up was always drawing. And he came from a household that was not rich at all. It was not middle class. It was lower class. And growing up for him, there was really no thought in his brain that he could be a professional artist. And then he met my mom, Rhonda, and they developed their relationship. And at the time, my father was working in a battery factory. Oh. And one day he came home from work because he was living in my mom's basement because he was not allowed to live upstairs. And he came home one day and his hands were literally just cut up and mangled, like just because he was in the factory. And my grandma, Ellen, she took my father's hands and she said to him, these hands were not meant to be working in a factory. These hands were meant to create art. So they helped him go through art school. And so he went to art school in Canada. And then he applied for Disney in Orlando, Florida, and he got the job. So Disney moved my whole family from Canada, and I was about 2 years old at the time, to Orlando, Florida. And at the time, there was a huge animation studio. So for me, growing up with Disney, I kind of grew up behind the scenes of Disney animation. Not so much Disney World and, you know, the attraction of the parks, but more so the true magic of Disney, which is created in the movies. To witness what animators go through to create the magic that we all sit back and watch, and to see just everything behind the scenes, it was just amazing. And at the time when you're that young, you don't really recognize how amazing it is that your father works for Disney because you're just so young. And then as you grow older, you start to realize, oh my goodness, my dad actually did that, because, you know, in the beginning, he started off doing background work. So Lion King, it was a lot of background. And Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, all of my favorite classics, the ones that I grew up with. And then he landed art director for Mulan, which was a huge moment for my father. And then after that, he landed Lilo and Stitch, and he art directed that. So when I get people that say, oh my gosh, your dad did that, now when I'm older, I'm like, he did. Yes. And that's cool.
Yes.
Because before you don't recognize it, but as you get older, you're like, you know what, that is really cool. And how amazing, how cool is that you were in a factory at one point and now you made your life to what it was and is now. So
that is amazing.
Yeah. So my personal connection is just a little bit different. Not saying it's better than anyone else's, because it's not. It's just, I got to see what happened behind the scenes. I got to see Tower of Terror in Walt Disney World getting built. And I got to go through the back lot to access MGM Studios, which is now Hollywood Studios. But back in the day, it was MGM, so yeah.
That is, I mean, to be able to say that you had that as your childhood and that is your dad.
It's amazing.
I mean, that is amazing.
And that was amazing. Like normal for you. So you didn't think anything like of it at the time?
I didn't.
It was like a normal thing.
I didn't think anything of it. I would walk in, it would be like a second home. Like, oh, where are you going? I'm going to Walt Disney Studios to go visit my dad in his office. It was nothing. Honestly, because you're so young, you don't think about those things. But then when you get older, you start to realize you're like, like, I can't believe that he actually did that. And, you know, like Wreck-It Ralph, I think it was The Incredibles 2, took so long to make. And I remember when my dad started certain movies and I'd be like, it took forever to make that movie. But it's true. Disney movies take forever to make because there's so much that goes into it. Frame by frame, color by color. So
growing up then with your dad and all the stuff he did with Disney, and then you just being out there with him, like you said, going to like studios and backlots and all that. What is your favorite memory as a kid? Like maybe not even knowing what was going on at the time, but it was just a moment that's just stuck with you.
My favorite moment is going on Tower of Terror with my mom for the first time. I've always been a wild kid. I've jumped off bridges into water. I've always been like a daredevil. So when Tower of Terror first came out, I was all about it. And I told my mom, it's not bad. Like, let's just go on it. And we went on it together. And I'll never forget, my mom said that when the elevator dropped, she screamed. And as she was screaming, her voice left her body. So it was just like
nothing.
And I just look back and I just think that was just such a funny moment. It's always just stuck out to me. And then just getting to go into the back lot with my dad, you know, that's a great moment to have with my father. I'll always remember it.
Did he ever go into the parks with you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did he have a favorite attraction or a favorite anything?
When Rock and Roller Coaster, the Aerosmith ride opened up, he really, really liked that one.
Wow.
Yeah. And he's always been, I think there's a Roger Rabbit there, Roger Rabbit ride there. But I know he's always loved Roger Rabbit too.
How does he feel now looking back at like people, because the new Mulan that's coming out, has he talked to you about it? How he feels? Any thoughts on that?
No, my dad is retired now. He lives in a cottage in the middle of nowhere in Canada, painting wildlife, as he should, as he deserves to live that sort of life now. He's working very hard. But I think Disney has changed so much over the years as in the way of like art. I think the last animated movie with like painting and whatnot was The Princess and the Frog. So after The Princess and the Frog, there was this new way of Disney, which I think started with Tangled and then went into Frozen. So I think he looks back and he looks at his time at Disney as, you know, very legendary. Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, Tangled, Frozen, these new movies coming out, I love them. Ask anyone. I love the CGI. But there's something about the old movies that really just come and stick to your heart, you know?
Agreed.
Like even from the beginning of Snow White. I mean, there's thousands of people out there that just love the old one. So for him, I think knowing that he was part of the older Disney, I think he really cherishes that. And, you know, he's really proud of himself. And we are proud of him.
As he should be.
As he should
for
be,
sure.
yeah.
No, definitely. That's awesome.
I do have a question. What was the last Disney movie he worked on?
The last one that he worked on was Bolt.
Oh.
Yes. It was Toy Story 3, because a lot of things change when you're in the process of making a movie. Like, for example, like Frozen, when it first came out, Elsa was supposed to be a villain. And then as the story develops, they start to change their mind. So he originally was working on Toy Story 3, and then he was pulled from that project and put onto Bolt. And then Bolt I'm pretty sure Bolt was his last one. And then he parted ways with Disney and went to pursue other things.
Still amazing, though. That's just,
it's still really cool, because I love Bolt too. It's like really cute.
That's awesome. And then he's in books too, right? Your dad, there's like a book out where his name is in there.
Yeah. Actually, I remember when I was, I think in college, I had one of my friends text me. They were studying art and they're like, hey, I just learned about your dad in my art class. I'm like, this is so weird. I'm sorry. Like, I just can't even, but cool. Like,
totally cool. Oh my gosh. So awesome. Okay. We're going to move on a little bit. We're going to talk about your YouTube channel.
Okay.
And if anyone has ever seen Ryland's YouTube channel, just watching him sucks you in. You have this way of when you speak and the way you're talking, like everything around you fades away and everything around us fades away. And I'm just so drawn into like you have a gift. You have a literal gift. And seriously. I'm not kidding you. And I'm not just saying that because you're my friend. Like legit, you have a gift. And before we were even this close as we are now, you would suck me in and I would love to watch your YouTube videos because they're just so amazing, and you make them fun, and it's just amazing. So let's talk about your YouTube channel.
Okay. Okay, so where do I even begin with YouTube? So I think at one point in my life, I was definitely like going through a change where I wanted to make some changes in my life, some healthy, positive changes. And one night I was on YouTube, and keep in mind, like, I had never in my mind thought prior to starting YouTube that I would ever go onto YouTube. I didn't even have the app. So it was just something that was like, oh, YouTube, whatever. But this one night I was on YouTube and I saw a toy unboxing done by a YouTuber she doesn't release her name. She's called Toy Genie Surprises. And she was just unboxing toys, and I was just like, this is so cool. And I was like, I can do this. So I saved some money up. I invested into equipment, and I figured out what makes me happy. What do I like that I could unbox? And it was like blind bags. It started off like that. And then as I moved into the collecting community, I started to do limited edition Disney doll reviews, which I have right here. I have Cinderella, a limited edition 1 of 5,000. And then I have Jessie from Toy Story 2, limited edition 1 of 2010. So I started to do the doll reviews, and there were some people that had already started doing them, but for me, I wanted to get into the detail of the dolls. Because I found that was the most interesting part of them, because I know there's a lot of artistry that goes behind making these dolls. So what I did was I bought a macro lens, and that's what separated me from a lot of the other toy or the doll reviewers, is that I would actually get to go super close on the item and talk about the details. And then from there, I was just sucked in. And then I also wanted to incorporate horror into it, because as you know, I love horror movies and I love Disney. So I started to combine the two. So not only would I review Disney merchandise, but I'd also review horror merchandise. So I would be kind of reaching out to two different ends of the spectrum, which is like the constant question that I get all the time is, why do you mix them? Which I'm sure we'll talk about later. And then I also wanted to introduce my YouTube community to just my own personal life, because I think that's really important as well, because I'm not just some person behind the camera showing my hands, because a lot of my YouTube reviews just feature my hands in the product. So I wanted to have them show them a part of my life and who I am, because I knew that there was more to it than just some guy that reviews dolls and wears gloves when he reviews his dolls. Because I used to do that. I used to be super obsessive compulsive with them, but I've moved on from that. And then, some new opportunities opened up with YouTube. I got contacted by Moose Toys to start doing unboxings for their Grocery Gang series. And from there, it just kind of took off. And I had to take a little bit of a break from YouTube just for some personal reasons, but I'm going to come back soon. I'm just waiting for the right time, the right opportunity. So so YouTube, big part of my life, and I want to bring it back to be even bigger.
Yes, and I think you can.
I
definitely.
can. Yeah.
Yes, and you will.
I will.
Yeah, you definitely will. You need to stop doubting yourself, because every time you do, you come back with the vengeance and you kill it. So
I love watching your videos. Like, I'm always
yes.
watching them. They're like my favorite.
Which one's your favorite?
The unboxing.
The unboxings?
Yeah, the unboxing.
I like the
is great.
unboxing.
So do you like watching like blind bag openings, or would you prefer to watch doll reviews? I
like the doll reviews.
Okay. It's good to know.
I like when you fixed up the Sully.
Oh, yeah.
yes,
So every
that
now and then
video.
I'll do that too. I'll find a toy that's just been not loved on eBay, and I'll go ahead and I'll refurbish it and I'll make it look amazing. Like Sully from Monsters, Inc. I found one. Interactive Sully. It was trash. Crusty.
Crusty.
Don't be crusty. So I took my toothbrush and my soap and water and I fixed him up, and now he's perfect.
Yes. Loved it.
I also liked how you did the Dream Sparkle one to show people who buy Dream Sparkle.
Yes, the Dream Passes.
Yes.
Yeah, the how-tos. Those are always fun.
I think you can talk about anything and draw in an audience. Like, you have that gift.
Well, when I start YouTube again, I'm actually changing it a lot. I broke down my filming studio because I want to make it more about me or the viewer and myself. So I'm going to make more of an emotional connection with them by showing myself more instead of being, it has to be perfect and professional and the white background and everything. I'm going to scratch that. I don't want to do that anymore. So
then you're definitely going to soar.
Yeah.
For sure. Yes. Okay, so you touched a little bit about your doll collection.
Yeah.
How many dolls does Rylan have?
Oh, geez.
And let's talk about your obsession.
Okay.
Your love for it.
So how many dolls do I have? I definitely have over probably 10, 17 limited edition dolls, which is like these you see here. So I have over 10 of those, maybe a little bit more. And then for the 12-inch dolls, which come in like plastic cases, I think I have close to 15 of them. And my love for them, the reason why I love them so much is every doll that I own has a story behind it. For example, I have a Lady Tremaine doll, and Lady Tremaine limited edition 17-inch doll, she sells for around $250, which I know is a lot of money. And especially at that time when I first started collecting, that was a lot of money for me. And keep in mind, there's people that are spending thousands of dollars on these limited edition dolls, but for Lady Tremaine, $250, that was a big wow. So every time I look at Lady Tremaine, I look at it and I'm like, in that time of your life, that was a lot of money for you, and you were able to save up and get it. So there's a story behind each doll. And I just love the details. I mean, look at Cinderella. She's got crystals all over her bodice. Her hair piece is filled with crystals. I mean, just the talent, the rooted lashes. There's so much detail in them, and I appreciate detail. I appreciate artistry. I appreciate the time and the energy that goes into making these things.
Yeah,
So.
you may not go back with her. Just
Where's my Cinderella?
She's gorgeous. So which doll would you say is your absolute favorite? Whether it's Disney or horror, which one is your absolute favorite?
Ooh, that's really tough.
Or one of each. What's your favorite Disney? Which one is your favorite horror?
My favorite horror doll is probably my Chucky doll. I know Tiana loves Chucky.
You created a monster.
I know.
Why.
I created a Disney monster.
Yes, you did. You did.
I'm coming for all you out there. No, but really, I'm coming for all of you. You will love horror and Disney by the end of this, I promise.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so my favorite doll, I think, out of all of them, when I say favorite, I'm going to put an emotional connection to it. I think would have to be my limited edition Ariel doll.
Oh, she's pretty.
She's beautiful. And she was always that doll, that one doll that I looked at and I was like, you will never be able to have her.
Oh, wow.
Because she was just so expensive. And, oops.
You're good.
Bam. I figured out a way to afford her. And I was so concerned about getting a perfect one because when you start collecting these dolls, your obsessive compulsiveness, if that's a word, can kind of really take over. So it was my mission to find the perfect Ariel doll, and I even remember zooming in, screenshotting pictures, sending it to two of my really good friends, Mario and Laz, who are huge doll collectors in the Disney community, and just being like, is this right? Is this right? Is this right? And sure enough, I got her, and I think I love that doll so much, not only because she's beautiful, but because I worked my butt off to get that doll. And when you work for something, when you work hard for something and you're able to get it, it doesn't matter what the price point is. It matters that you tried your best to get it and you're able to achieve it. So I would say Ariel from The Little Mermaid.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay, moving on. We're going to go to your pins now.
Okay.
Your latest venture, and I have to say you are killing it.
Thank you.
You are absolutely killing it. So please introduce your pins to the people that are watching.
Okay. So first and foremost, I've never been a pin collector. Ask Marcus, ask anyone. I've never collected pins, ever. And for some reason, this one day, I noticed that one of my fellow friends decided that he was going to start making pins. And in my mind, I was like, could that be something I could do? So I looked into it, and I studied, and studied, and studied, and studied, and researched. And I thought, I could do something like this, but I would like it to be my creations. I want to combine my love for horror and my love for Disney. So, in doing so, I created my Disney Monster pin line. The first one that I introduced was Ariel as Pennywise.
Oh, and she's so beautiful. Yes. Yes.
And also, one thing I also want to say is there's a lot of fantasy pin creators out there, and for the pin community to accept me so easily and nice, really, I'm humbled by it because these take a lot of work. It's not just, oh, let me create a design, send it into the factory, and it's done. There's way more. There's countless nights of no sleeping because you're working with China and you want to respect their time zone. So I'm on their time. They're not on my time.
Right.
So I started with this one, and it was the Pennywise's Ariel, and the response to it was incredible. So I was like, I can do this. I got something going on. I partnered, and this design was, it's my design, but I don't want to say hired, but I partnered with a very, very talented artist named Suzette Saraiva, Monstrous on Instagram. And she kindly agreed to helping me create these pins. And she literally took my ideas and put them into digital art. And it's unbelievable for you to have an idea and to work with an artist and for them to create it, because there's no way I could have ever done this without her. So I started off with the Ariel Pennywise, and then I moved on to Rapunzel as Carrie.
I love that one.
Yes. And they're quite large pins. They're 3.5 inches. They're pin on pin, so they're stacked. And I really wanted to make sure that all the pins were going to make a statement. Like, if you're going to walk around the parks, if you're going to walk around anywhere, I want people to be like, what is that? And the only way to achieve that was to make sure I had vibrant colors and make it large. So then I went on to Carrie Rapunzel. And then after Carrie Rapunzel, I did my Aurora as Freddy Krueger. And these are all just inspired by the characters. I don't own the license to any of these. I'm simply just super inspired by horror and Disney, and this is why I created it. And so Aurora as Freddy Krueger. Yes. And this is actually the variant. So for a lot of my pins, I'll do a variant color, which I'll just switch them up, and I'll do a lower limited edition size of them. Because all of my pins, they're limited edition, so there's only a certain amount available. And then after that,
Tiana's actually wearing the original one there. So yes, and she loves it. She didn't even want to take it off her jacket. I'm like, do you want to put it on the table so you can display it? And she's like, no. And I just want to mention really quick, these pins are not flimsy pins. These could literally be used as weapons in the parking garage at the parking structure.
Metal detector,
like legit, especially
me.
like my favorite, my Cinderella one. I mean, because it has like little thing that sticks out there, like the knife. Yeah, definitely could be a weapon. So they're heavy, they're well made, they're not flimsy, they're not cheap looking, they're gorgeous. So sorry, go ahead and finish.
That's okay. Thank you so much. And it just, every time I look at these pins, I always remember like the process of making it. And I am such a perfectionist, and I literally would lose sleep over any errors done with them. So to make sure that I came out with something that I was proud of was really important. So hearing all this, and it just makes me feel so good. You have no idea to hear that. It's just great. So yeah, I did the Cinderella with Michael Myers. This is a special edition one. I know Cinderella's your favorite.
Yes, she is.
And Michael's my favorite. So yeah. So this one was really fun to make because this one is actually a 4-inch pin, and it's special edition, and it features 2 characters, whereas with my other pins, I mashed them up. This one I wanted to make them separate because you just can't touch Michael Myers, and you just can't touch Cinderella.
It's actually 3 characters
It's
on
3
that.
characters. Gus is in there. You're right.
And what is the awesome feature that one has?
This one glows in the dark. So the pumpkin or the jack-o'-lantern glows in the dark.
Yes.
And then the last one that I recently just released was Princess Tiana, who's actually my favorite princess right now, as the Bride of Frankenstein. And this one I really wanted to do justice to because I personally feel like Tiana is one of the few princesses that actually had to work very, very hard to get her goals achieved in life. I mean, she became a princess by getting Naveen, but on the other hand, this girl had a dream, and she worked her butt off to get that dream. And I can relate. I'm working my butt off constantly in order to achieve something, and it's slowly but surely happening. So Tiana as the Bride of Frankenfrog, I did her justice, and I know I did.
Definitely did. Definitely. We're so proud of you.
Thank you.
Legit, so proud of you.
Much.
And we're not just saying that because we're your friend. Like, because I'm your friend, I will tell you the truth. Like, you can ask like my good friends, like I will say the truth. If it hurts or not, even my kids, my husband, I will say the truth. You literally are just killing it.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much.
So proud of you.
And again, it's not just me that's behind these pins. It's Suzette as well. Like we are a team. And I know I have some people watching right now that want to find out the other 3 designs that are part of Series 2. And we promise you, we will announce those at the end.
Yes, definitely. So moving on, we're going to get into some Q&A.
Okay.
We did a feature this week where people were allowed to ask questions. And they submitted their questions, and these are the questions that we have. So the first question comes from Precious Art Creations, which is the creator of the ears that we're wearing today. And her question is, what was your reaction to seeing the new Lion King trailer?
Oh, I was blown away.
Blown away.
100% blown away.
It was amazing.
When I had first heard about they were making the live action, I didn't really think anything of it. I was like, how are they going to do that? And I saw the Jungle Book, and I was like, okay. But seeing the trailer, which I know, Anissa, you have not seen, which I won't say anything, I won't spoil anything, but to see how accurate it was to the animated feature was
Have you seen
insane.
the side-by-side that they
I
made?
saw the side-by-side. Unreal, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's crazy. And Simba looks so cute.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
Yes.
so cute. So I was shook.
Good.
I was shooketh.
All right, next question comes from Carlos1 Disney 4. Rylan, what started your love of horror?
I think the fact that I wasn't allowed to watch it when I was younger started the love for it. It's like rebellion, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You just want to do what your parents tell you not to do. I grew up in a pretty strict Catholic household, and watching rated R movies and movies that involve blood and killing was not liked by my mom. But then I also grew up around my cousins in Canada, where my mom's sister loved horror movies and they loved horror movies. So I'd always sneak down to the basement and watch scary movies with them. And it's just something that I've grown to just love, and I'm obsessed with it. It's not that I'm obsessed with seeing people die or anything like that. It's just, I love a good scare, and I love horror movies, and I love the anxiety that I get from it because it distracts me from the other anxiety issues that I have in my life. So it's just a nice escape for me, and I just love it.
That's
I
a
love
great
it
reason.
almost just as equal as I love Disney.
That's awesome. Love it. Okay, next question comes from Soaring Over Disney.
Who's that?
How are you so fire?
Gotta know.
How are you so fire?
No, you're so fire.
How am I so fire? Let me think. Well, I think I'm gonna quote my father on this. My dad always said to me, "Work hard and be nice." I will admit none of us are perfect, none of us, and I've made my mistakes. I've had my fair share of being mean to other people, and I've learned from it. So, in order for one to be fire, one must work hard and be nice.
Yes.
So
Oh, I love that.
that's
Good job.
that's the secret.
All right, so next question comes from Tylin Marissa. What is your favorite memory at Disneyland?
I have two favorite memories. Well, Disneyland, just strictly Disneyland.
Disneyland.
Okay.
That's what she's asking, Disneyland. Maybe not your most cherished memory, because that's another question that's at the end.
Yeah.
But what is your favorite memory that you can think of off topic? Offhand.
I think going to Disneyland with Marcus is always so fun.
So for those of you who are listening who don't know who Marcus is, who is Marcus?
Marcus is my boyfriend, who's right over there. He's
on
watching.
camera.
He's my number one fan.
We're number 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah,
so.
number 2, 3, or 2, 3, or 4, however. We'll just group it as a
We're
2.
2, yeah.
Marcus, yeah, so Marcus is my boyfriend. Proud to say that. And every time we go to Disneyland, I always have some sort of comfort when I'm with Marcus, because I've had my fair share of problems at Disneyland, and knowing that I have someone with me is really important, you know, and I think it's important for a lot of people out there.
Yes.
And it doesn't even need to be like a situation that you've had with other people at Disney. It could be something going on in your life. And, you know, if you have someone at Disneyland that you love to share that memory with or share those moments with, it's good to have that. And Marcus is like my go-to with that. And along with Marcus, I have a lot of amazing memories with one of my best friends, Katie. She's been my best friend for over 12 years. And every time I go with her, we always have a great time. I'll never forget Christmas time with Katie. You know, I'll never forget Halloween time with Marcus. So with my best friend and my boyfriend.
Oh, love it.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. Connie at Disney asks, what inspired you to create such amazing pins?
What inspired me was I felt like my creative juices weren't flowing enough, and I wanted to do something. So I saw this as an opportunity, and I went for it. So that's what started it all. It was just me coming up with ideas and thinking, who's saying I can't do this?
Right.
Why can't I not? And then there's always going to be that little voice in your head saying that you can't. And I've battled that little voice my whole entire life. So with this, I said, no, you can do it. And the beginning was a huge struggle. I had one manufacturer that just totally was not the right fit. And then thank God I found a new manufacturer, and I'm very happy with them, and things are moving along great.
All right. Miss Starlet Stella, and it's kind of going a little bit over what we talked about, but I want to be fair and ask her a question as well. But what started your love of horror and Disney combined?
I was on Instagram, and there is an artist, I can't pronounce his name, but he had done some pieces that included some horror characters. Not the ones that I've done, because I don't do that. I try to come up with original ideas, even though some ideas are just, we all could have the same idea. But I saw his art and I was like, this is so cool. And I also looked into it, and I saw not really many people combine the two. And you really wouldn't think to combine the two because they're so different. So I was like, I'm going to do it. So I just did it. There's nothing major. There's no huge reason behind why I started doing it. I just thought, I can do this, and I'm going to do it, and these are cool ideas. And I know there's more people out there like me that like the same things. And there's sure enough, there's a ton more.
Clearly, because you sell out every time.
Yeah, they do sell out.
Well,
they sell out
and
pretty
it's
quick.
not just people who do like horror. To be honest, we weren't crazy about horror until you.
Yeah.
I promise.
Yes.
We liked it, and I didn't mind it. But now I'm like, I love Michael Myers.
You made us Disney
You know?
monsters.
You made us Disney monsters.
I'm telling you, I'm coming for everyone out there. Hey, here's proof right here.
Yes, definite proof, because before you, the scariest thing they would watch was Coraline.
I know.
That was the scariest thing for them.
And then the next day I get a list from Marcus, movies that I should be watching.
Yes.
And they literally will sit there and watch them. Sienna has seen all the Chucky's already. With the exception of
I'm so proud
just
of
one,
you.
right?
Bride of Chucky.
Bride of
and
Chucky's the only
Cult
one.
of Chucky.
Okay, well, she's been into all the horror movies now, and I'm like, wait, Sienna's sitting down watching a horror movie? What?
I was always too scared. I've always been too scared to watch anything remotely.
So yes, you have created a Disney monster.
And you're conquering
Disney
your
monsters.
fears too at the same time.
For sure.
I'm
Which
not
I think
scared
is
of dolls
pretty.
anymore after watching that.
Pardon?
I'm not scared of dolls anymore.
Good.
After watching that movie.
I'll bring you an animal. I'll bring you your very own Chucky doll then.
I'd love it. Oh no.
So last night, fun fact, we were on It's a Small World last night, and these kids literally give me to get on that ride. They never want to get on it. And last night, Sienna, she's sitting on the ride, and she says, Mom, you know how I can handle it now? And I said, why? She's all, because all the Chucky's movies I've seen. And I was like, oh, okay.
See him up there, honestly.
Okay.
I know. Can we just throw a Chucky doll in It's a Small World?
Marcus had a good idea. There should be a Halloween version.
That would
Where
be.
it's all
It's a Small World?
Yeah.
They're all
Don't you want to be an Imagineer? You better write that down in your back pocket.
There
Yes.
should be a Chucky doll in there.
There should.
That'd be
I'm sure there's one doll in there that might kind of look like Chucky. We just got to find it.
We'll
It
try
probably is.
I hope so.
Maybe today when we go to Disneyland later, we'll look.
I hope there is.
Because you know we're going on that ride.
Yeah.
I don't mind it anymore.
Last
See?
night was the best time on it. So.
Oh, I loved getting on.
All right. Moving on then.
You're welcome, Mom.
Thank you. Thank you. Next question comes from Charlie Inahosa. I have to say, Charlie never submits questions, ever. So this is kind of a big deal that he's asking a question. But he wants to know, does Ryland do any impressions? Yay!
Well, hot diggity dog, I sure do. I can do a Stitch impression.
Yay!
I love the Stitch one.
Okay. So I'll do Ohana.
Okay.
I'll do a couple more.
Ohana means family, and family means no one gets left behind or forgotten.
Okay, I'll do the family one. How's it go again? Yeah.
This is my family. It's small and broken, but still good. Yeah, still good.
And then the last one I'll do, because Stitch, he's crazy, is
Vida a la Krista! Jumbo? Jumbo?
Oh my God, I love it. Great question, Charlie. Great question.
Thank you, Dad.
So we have a few from Disney or wherever we may go.
okay.
Nina, she submitted a few questions. How do you always have a smile on your face?
Oh, I don't always have a smile on my face, but when I come onto Instagram and YouTube, I think it's really important that I put that positive energy out there because I know a lot of people watch my videos to have comfort. Just like you said, like even with the sound of my voice, for some reason it can bring comfort to people. So I try to always have a smile on my face, but sometimes I don't. But I don't like to show that part of my life because it's just that part of my life that I'm like, it's my right. difficulties, you know? But I mean, I'm just thankful at the end of the day. Like, you know, sometimes I go to work and I'm just like, this is so hard. And I get home and I pack pins. I'm like, this is so much work. But I just think like, you're so lucky. You need to be so thankful. There's so many people out there in this world that don't have jobs. There's so many people out there in this world that don't have the support that you do. So shut up. And just keep going.
It's not a have to, it's a get to.
Exactly, exactly. So I try to have a smile on my face all the time because I know it'll put a smile on other people's faces.
And you're really good at it. Yes. I mean, well, not really a smile there, but
it's smolder.
It's still good. It's a smolder,
it's a smolder.
Yes. Oh, you're right.
Tangled taught me well.
All right. Nina also wants to know, we already covered the Disney pins. Let's see. How can I grow up to be as awesome as you? And do you miss me?
Yes, I miss you, Nina. I miss your whole family. How can you grow up to be as awesome as me? I think you should just always think of others and be humble and put others before you, you know? It's like, my mom always taught me, if you see a homeless person on the street, you just can't assume that they chose that life. There's something that happened to them in their life to make them that way. There could be a mental illness or anything like that. So be humble and think of others before yourself. And I think that's the way to be amazing, at least in my eyes. You know, I'm not perfect, but I try my best to be as good as I can of a person in this world.
No, and you do a great job. Her last question was, Rylan, why are you so cute? But I think that the whole fire thing covers it too, right? But
yes.
All right. Next question is A.M. Franson, and she's saying, it's not really a question, but I have to say, you have stunning eyes, gorgeous.
I love your eyes.
Yes. And
They're
yes,
so pretty.
as you can see, the picture behind us does show that. And I think Marcus said it best. It looks like you're an angel coming down from heaven.
Oh, wow. I didn't hear that. Thanks.
Yes. How many DMs I get when I put you on my story? Oh my God, he's so cute. Oh my gosh, his eyes. He is so fire.
I just fell out of heaven and down onto earth. And it's my parents. My dad has blue eyes and my mom has blue eyes. I was bound to have blue eyes.
Wow. All right.
So thank you for that compliment.
Yes. And she also wants to know, and I don't know if like you're the same way as women, but how old are you? Are you not comfortable answering that question?
I don't mind.
Okay.
21. No, yes. I'm just kidding. I'm 29, but I'm turning 30 on January 4th.
Ooh, big 30.
You don't look like it.
You don't, you don't look like it.
Thank you.
Which is good.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next question. Actually, two questions, and they're both from OMG Marcus P. First question is, what is your most cherished memory at Disneyland?
Well, I think I kind of answered that earlier, but you know, it was being with Marcus, being with Katie, and then in Orlando, there's also so many moments I had with my parents, and I'm going to say this, and I'm not just saying this because I'm on your show, but a cherished memory of mine was when you all recognized me. So I don't know if I already said that earlier. Maybe, I don't know. But it was. I don't care how famous or anything people are on Instagram. When you're first starting and you get recognized, it's a really, 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 really cool moment for that to happen. And it's not a statement that's supposed to come off conceited. It's not a statement that's supposed to come off like, you think you're so cool. It's not. It's a really cool thing that happened to me. And you all were one of the first few that did that. And it doesn't happen all the time. So it's a cherished memory for me. I was at DCA, same difference, but it was still really, really amazing, and I will always cherish that. And I can tell you there's like 2 other people that did the same thing, and I cherish those memories as well. Someone got out of line at DCA and came to me at line in Disneyland and said, I know who you are. I admire your work. Can I please take a picture with you? And it's just a really cool moment.
Yeah.
And you all out there that have those moments, you own it and you love it and you remember it, because these people that come up to you and say hi to you, they're fans of you, you know, and these are your people. So it's a cherished memory of mine.
Love it. And his last question, what project that your dad worked on is your absolute favorite and why?
Oh, I would have to say Mulan is my favorite project that my dad's worked on. It's just such an amazing movie. It's so empowering for females. The colors are amazing. It was his first big art directing deal, and he nailed it.
Didn't he go away to
He
learn?
went away, yeah. He went to China to study, and then also for Lilo and Stitch, he went to Hawaii. And Lilo and Stitch is also another one that's one of my favorites because, and it's something that I'm also proud of him, because I think it's one of the few Disney movies that the background is all watercolor. I don't know if you noticed that, but the background of Lilo and Stitch is, I'm pretty sure, don't come for me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure. I'm probably right. It was watercolor. So definitely Mulan though, hands down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love it.
I have a question. When did you start your Disney account?
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh, almost a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. And when I first started, if you scroll down to the beginning, it was all keychains.
Really?
Yeah, it was all figural keychains that I had opened up on YouTube, the blind bags. So those like little keychains that you can get at Hot Topic.
Oh, yeah.
So I would take individual pictures of them and I would just post them. And that's how it all started. So what I have in the beginning of my feed is 100% different than what I have now. So I evolved, you know?
Definitely.
What made you want to start it?
I was going through some personal things in my life at the time and I needed an escape. And this was my escape. And it was healthy for me and it was a healthier choice. And I decided to put that money towards this. And it just created a Disney monster.
I love that name.
Thank
Love
you.
it. Love it.
I actually used to be, what was my name before? Son of a Disney Artist was my name. And actually my company because I have my own company and everything that the pins go through is under the name Soda, which is an abbreviation for Son of a Disney Artist. So when you shop my store for my pins, it's called the Soda Shop. So.
Wow. That is very cool.
So everyone out there that buys my pins and you get a pin and you're like, what does product of soda mean? Now you know what that means.
That's
it's my
pretty
company.
amazing. That is amazing. Okay, if you had one bit of advice to give your followers and those listening and watching, what would it be?
Oh, well, for me, I think the biggest thing that I battle with social media and all that is my insecurities. And I find that it's more prevalent on YouTube comments than Instagram. And as of lately, the reason why I took a break from YouTube is because the hate comments that I was getting about who I was and everything was just almost too much for me to handle. And you kind of get to that point where you focus on the negative and all the good positive things surrounding the negative are blown away. It's like they don't even exist. So I think the biggest advice that I can give to anyone that's trying to be something or trying to like grow a brand is don't care about what other people think of you. Because at the end of the day, it's just, those people don't really matter, you know? It's just a comment. It's just a word that's meant to hurt you. It's a word that's meant to break you or bring you down. It's evil. It's, you know, so it's up to you to rise above,
Right.
you know? And there's always going to be that voice in your head that says that you can't do it. And my biggest advice is get that voice, flick it away, and tell yourself that you can do it. Because I've had so many moments, especially with the pins, where I was like, what are you doing? Rylan, you can't do this. You're not, there's no way. And then I'm like, you know what? No, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And I did it. So that's my advice. Don't care what other people think because it doesn't matter what they think. All that matters is making sure that you're happy with what you're doing. And if it makes you happy, no matter how big of a following you have, no matter what, because I had 3, 4, 5 followers at one point with my social media, and I did it because it made me happy. I don't do it for the followers. I don't do it for the number. I do it because it makes me happy, and I know it brings smiles to other people's faces. Because obviously it does, because people are so kind on Instagram and with these questions. So.
Yes, great advice. If there was one thing you really want people to know about you, like about you, what would it be?
I'm like super, super obsessive compulsive. I don't know if you can tell that. With everything in my life, everything needs to be like a certain way, and I'm so obsessive compulsive that it just like I get to the point where I'm like just going crazy, and I'm like overly sensitive. So it's funny because that question was, how do you always have a smile on your face? It's like, I don't always have a smile on my face because I'm just a normal person, and I still have my struggles, but just that I deal with the same thing that everyone else deals with. The anxiety, the telling yourself that you can't do it, all those things I still deal with on a daily basis. I just choose not sometimes to put it out there. So I'm normal. I'm just like all of you, I think that's really important for people to know. I struggle with these, I struggle with those, I struggle with work, I struggle with everything in life. So
you're human.
I'm human. Yeah.
Definitely. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And I'm obsessive compulsive, and I have ADHD. That's why when I'm talking to people on camera on my stories, I'm like all over the place because I can't concentrate sometimes.
But I love that about you. Like I really do.
Thank you.
I love it.
He'll be like recording videos, like, yeah, and then, oh, my hair.
Yeah.
And
That's that ADHD kicking in real hard. It's like, is that my neighbor behind me? Hold on. And
the one that was parking yesterday. That was funny.
They almost hit me, but they didn't.
But they didn't.
Yeah.
All right, so we have your big announcement now.
Yes.
If you'd like to go ahead and get to that.
Okay. So, all my pin collectors out there, all of my loyal ones, thank you so much for tuning in to join us on the Mini Mice. And, thank you again for having me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
It's a blessing. So, we have already introduced the first pin for the Disney Monsters Series number 2, and that was Vanellope from Wreck-It Ralph as mixing up with Ghostface from Scream. The next pin that we will see is Merida from Brave as Chucky from Child's Play.
I want that one so bad.
And these are all done. The pins are not in production yet, but the art is done. So I can tell my followers on here that you will be seeing these pin art released in 2019. Following that one is Alice in Wonderland as Beetlejuice.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, so that's a really cool one. That one is actually really amazing. Suzette nailed it. If you're a fan of Beetlejuice and if you're a fan of Alice, they kind of mash up perfectly together because they're super weird worlds. And then the fourth one, because Vanellope was the first, Merida's the second, the third is Alice. The fourth one is going to be Snow White as Dracula.
Oh.
Yes, and it's really cool because she's holding a poison apple, but the poison apple is actually covered in blood and it's dripping down, and you can see her fangs, and there's bats in the background and a really pretty moon and birds from the movie to kind of coordinate like Dracula, bats, and birds. And then for Alice in the background, there's the mean flowers, and then the Cheshire Cat that is colorized as a sandworm from Beetlejuice. And then for Merida, we have her holding her bow and arrow, and she's actually, her dress is themed to be the good guy's doll outfit. So it has the striped shoulders and then the overall denim chest. And then behind her, we have her 3 little bear brothers that are all scared.
Oh, I love it.
So you all will love it. I know you will. I'm so excited. I'm like, if I could release them now, I would, but I got to keep you all waiting on that because I can't oversaturate your feed with too much Disney Monster realness. So stay tuned.
And your attention to detail in every single one is insane, and it's so good. And you're killing it. You're killing everything that you're doing right now. You're just killing it all.
Thank you
and
so much.
we're so happy for you. We're so proud of you. We cannot thank you enough for being here today. And we do have a small gift for you.
What?
Yes, I mean, it's very small. I mean, but it's just a little, just to thank you so much for being here today.
That's so sweet.
And that's for you. So you can go ahead.
I can open it?
Yeah,
I'm
you can open it.
I love
That's
the tissue.
No, never mind the bag and everything. It's what's inside. But okay, so to our followers, those watching, listening, don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Google Play. For those of you watching on YouTube, don't forget
Yay! I just watched this movie last night. One of the best Christmas scary movies that you can watch is Gremlins.
Yes. So we knew you liked it.
Thank you.
So I'm trying to get you a little something just to thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So as I was saying, don't forget to subscribe on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Google Play. For those of you watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. We are the Minnie Mice Show. This is the Disney Monster. Make sure you check us all out on social media. Until next time, be kind and spread some magic. Don't be crusty. Don't be crusty.
Don't be crusty.
Love
Thanks
you
for
all.
watching.
Thanks for watching.